started to see islets underneath the canopy of trees, which have never been discovered before. Part of what we do is not just go into locations, scan locations, we also capture and create virtual people, virtual copies of people.
And I found a sign just pointing up. Pompeii, Federated States of Micronesia, just where I knew it was, yeah. Joe, how are you, mate?
Hi, Chris. Good, thanks. How are you?
Yes, absolutely firing.
Great.
Loving this amazing thing called life. Feel very, very privileged and privileged to speak to people such as your good self, mate, at the cutting edge of technology.
Yeah, apparently so. Well, we try to be anyway. Sort of working in films, developing technology for archaeology, presentation, and virtualization, as we like to call it.
Yeah. So, look, Joe, before we go any further, I just want to give our audience at home an idea of Visualskies, which is Joe's company, and what we're talking about here, because it really is next level stuff. So, let me see if I can sort out the technology here. Let's go to desktop and let's have a look. My gosh. I wish you guys were on my team. That's
anytime, Chris. Let me know. Let me know when.
The podcast. My gosh. So, Joe, to me, what in my limited techno knowledge, this looks like you're kind of filming the world, and then so it then can be reproduced for any scenario. Like, for example, in a film, in a movie, in an advert. Am I roughly on the money?
Yeah, absolutely. That's generally what we do is go all around the world to various locations, various studios, capture a location, a set, a person, an object, a car, and create a virtual version of that so that it can be used in a visual effects pipeline as a virtual background, as an augmented reality asset, or in VR and virtual reality, or as just straightforward video on a screen. That's essentially what our company does in a nutshell. And all of what we do is powered by drones, photogrammetry, and LiDAR technology.
Gosh, so let's take that one at a time. So augmented is a word I'm getting familiar with in this last month, because they're talking about military augmentation now. Yeah. So basically turning soldiers into semi robots or assimilating technology either into their physically into their body or into the brain?
Yeah.
Or, I mean,
yeah, I'm not too sure about that stuff. You know, what we do with augmented reality is use it as a tool. So on film sets, for example, we will use an iPad to augment, you know, the film set with virtual characters, with virtual assets. So say, for example, a dragon is going to land on the beach. You can hold up an iPad and then visualize where that dragon's going to go using augmented reality. So you can see the 3D dragon on the beach, and then you can start framing your shots and stuff like that. And we've also used it in sort of archaeology to fold back like time and look at sites as they used to be. We worked on a show called Lost Cities with Albert Lynn in 2018, and hopefully again soon, to make new findings, archaeological findings using technology. And part of what we did was develop a augmented reality app, so he could preview sites in 3D in augmented reality, basically, and to see sites as they used to be, you know, hundreds of years ago.
Yeah, got you. I think my ignorance comes around the word, what does augmented mean?
Yeah.
As opposed to what did you intend to do with it? I guess it's introducing technology into something to get it enhance productivity, isn't it, essentially?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, the way that, you know, the Facebook Meta wants to push things is that, you know, you're wearing glasses and the world is augmented around you with virtual things. And you know, I think that's a bit far off still. But in films, it's a very useful tool that we use, you know, every day.
And I'm guessing, Joe, that this could save film companies an absolute fortune.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it enables decision making. It enables, you know, whilst you're on location to see where things will go and make decisions on that, on the location, but also enables you to take less crew, less kits, you know, less equipment. If you're doing things in CGI and post-production more and more, then you know, everything can happen from people's homes these days.
Yes, and it's the implications for it are endless. I mean, I mentioned the military, but I mean, on a serious note, you could recreate a battlefield before the soldiers have even been there. You could recreate urban environments so that they can get to see. I mean, the Iranian embassy siege, for those of us old enough to remember it, 1980, I believe it was, where the SES went into the Iranian embassy in London, and they took out a group of guys that were holding everyone hostage in there. They had to build wooden structures, like real old school technology, like nailing up bits of sailcloth and sackcloth and stuff to make the rooms, and then they still got a lot of it wrong. Mm-hmm. But something like this, I mean, ultimately, I guess you have to have filmed the place beforehand to have the 3D version of it. But I mean, let's just say we thought that I don't know, St. Basil's Cathedral in Red Square was going to be the place of some future attack, and had you been in there and captured it all, you've got there you are, you know, you've got it's the perfect recce is what I'm trying to say.
Absolutely, yeah. This is that definitely already happens. You know, virtual reality training already 100% happens. You know, dropping a soldier into a virtual reality experience, and you know, they feel real when you're in them and you have the headset on. You know, they're made to feel real. You know, when you take the headset off afterwards, you're almost disappointed with real life because it looks worse than, you know, the virtual reality world you've just been in, which is sort of scary in its own right. But yeah, you sort of hit a point quite well, is that preservation. You know, 3D scanning, scanning a location perfectly preserves a location in as good a form as we can preserve something right now. So, for example, Notre Dame was burnt down recently, wasn't it, in France? And for Assassin's Creed, they had fully created a digital copy of Notre Dame in Paris. And so they were able to use that to see how they would rebuild the site. And also it's as good a copy as we can make at the moment of something.
Yes, you can preserve stuff for prosperity, but also to protect.
Exactly, yeah. It's the best form for history. You know, in the future, people will be able to visit sites which may no longer exist, which is incredibly powerful and useful, obviously. Imagine we could go back and, you know, see Stonehenge as it actually was, you know, that sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly. And also, it must be of use to sort of archaeologists, scientists, geographers, all this sort of stuff, because you could film the landscape one year, and of course in 10 years time it's going to be completely different, and you're going to be able to see the oh, hang on, we're going again. You're going to be able to see the effects of weather or human, you know, human.
Absolutely. Yeah, our technology isn't just used in film and television. It's also used in archaeology quite often. We worked on that series, as I mentioned earlier, Lost Cities, and used aerial lidar, which is essentially a lidar scanner. Which do you know what lidar is?
Once you tell me, I'm going to go, oh yeah.
It's essentially a laser scanning device which fires lasers and measures distances. So just like a laser pointer you buy at B&Q or whatever, it will measure distances, not just once, it will measure distances millions of times. And so once it's measured distances in 3D space, it can then create a cloud of those measurements, a point cloud, and that resembles the shape of a location in 3D. And we use that technology in Colombia to scan beneath the trees to find old ruins which have never been found before. And so what we were able to do is use the laser scanner on a helicopter, fly over the jungle canopy, and then remove the trees from the point cloud and just see what was on the ground. And with that data, we were able then to say, we think we see terracing in this location. And then we sent the presenter and his team, you know, on a day's trek through the Colombian jungle, where literally everything wants to kill you out there. The spiders, you know, the jaguars, you know, the locals, everything wants to kill you. And so they made the trek. And once they finally got there, the first thing they found was some ancient pottery, which had never been discovered before. They found some terracing, which had never been discovered. And it was well worth the trek. And we're lucky the data actually, you know, it was proved right. And we found some terracing, which hadn't been discovered before, which was pretty special. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say, we also use the same technology, aerial LiDAR, in a place called Micronesia, which I'll be very, very surprised if you can point out on that map behind you. It's one of the smallest islands in the Pacific.
What's the name of the island?
It's the Federated States of Micronesia, and the island we went to is called Pohnpei.
Gosh, I've got to turn the right way for a start.
It's on both sides, I think. I think you're heading in the right direction.
What was it called?
Pohnpei.
Pohnpei.
Federated States of Micronesia.
Yeah. It is.
It's like a speck. Yeah, it's just there, just off screen. Yeah.
Yeah. It's there. Yeah. Pohnpei, Federated States of Micronesia. Just where I knew it was. Yeah. Exactly where I knew.
It's the toughest one to find, but amazing place. Takes about 4 days to get there from the UK. You can either go via Tokyo or via Hawaii. So you can go either way. We went via Hawaii, so it was via Tokyo. So it was UK to Tokyo, Tokyo to Guam, overnight in Guam, and then you get on a basically a bus plane which goes from island to island. It lands, takes off, around all the islands. And once you get there 4 days later, we were then scanning with drones this time, not helicopters. It's hard to get a helicopter to that island, unfortunately, as you can imagine. And then we were scanning a site called Namadol. And there might be a YouTube video, a video on our Vimeo about this site, actually.
Okay.
Yes, this one's pretty special.
If you tell me where to go, I'll get it up. What a stunning picture to start off with.
Yeah, so this location is hundreds of years old, built with impossibly large basalt rocks, which they think were somehow transported from the top of the island where there was a volcano. Some of the stones are over 70 tons, and so obviously impossible to move with our current technology even. And we were essentially mapping the entire site with a aerial LiDAR device attached to a drone, flying over the top of the canopy of trees multiple times, days on end, and we were then processing the data whilst on location, which normally we don't do because it requires quite a large amount of processing. However, we were processing for a couple of days, and then finally we started to see things. We started to see islets underneath the canopy of trees, which have never been discovered before. And we were able to build a complete map of these habitations, this city that existed underneath the trees here. And the final video is the point cloud, and then the blue turquoise thing is showing where these islets were. It's pretty fascinating. Wow. It's an amazing place. Yeah, this is just like a teaser, really. If you've got the time, check out. You should definitely check out the show on. It's on Disney Plus. You can now see it in the UK. It's called Lost Cities with Albert Lynn. And we're in 5 of the episodes.
Oh, well, congratulations. And it goes without saying, I love that kind of stuff. So, yeah, I spent a lot of time in Central America, South America. You get caught up a lot, don't you, in visiting all the ruins. And
yeah.
And I actually... is it Aguas Caliente is the city before you go to Machu Picchu? I think it's like the railway, where the railway stops.
I think I passed through there, yeah.
Yeah, so I was staying there with a friend I was backpacking with, and I said, right, I'm going out for a run. So I put my running shoes on and went running, and I found a sign just pointing up, and I thought, okay, I'll go up. So I went up this trail, and it was twisting around this sort of almost like a big knoll, like these kind of crazy elevations you get down there. And I'm running sort of around and horizontally and all this kind of stuff. And finally, there was a ladder just pinned to the rock face that went up for about 20 meters or something, this rickety old rusty ladder. And I climbed it, and then I ran a bit more. I came out on top of this mini mountain, and Machu Picchu was there below me.
Amazing. So this must have been about 4,000 meters altitude at least.
Oh, it was to see something you've heard so much about, and you've only seen pictures, pictures in magazines and stuff. And to discover it that way by coming out on top of this thing and being almost like looking across the valley at it, across that raging river. That was incredible. And so, Joe, just tell me, I mean, the logistics of this. Tell us about how does this get financed? Do you have to pay? Do these film companies cover it all?
Yeah, it depends on the project. The majority of the time, the production company will pay for our entire trip. They'll pay for our flights, they'll pay for hotels, transport will be organised when we get there. and everything will be organized for us. There are some times where we will pay for everything ourselves, and then charge it back once we deliver the data, essentially. But 99% of the time, the production companies are very good, and they organize everything for you. It's amazing, it's great. But sometimes we have to do things ourselves.
Do you get to a hotel and first thing you check if there's a minibar?
Yeah, absolutely, of course. Yeah, no mini bars in Micronesia, unfortunately. The hotels there were beautiful, amazing places, but very, very basic.
You must feel honoured to have been to such places, because I mean, how many people? I've been to a few places, but I've not had the fortune to go there, and I'd love to.
Absolutely, yeah. Part of our job is amazing. We get sent to the most amazing locations in the world, not only just to see them, but to film them with drones. To photograph them, to climb all over them all day, sort of thing. It's kids in a playground at work, which is what
Tell me about storage then, because obviously everything's 4K these days, and that takes a fair amount of gigabytes. What about data transfer? And I call it burning. When you transcode an edit into the actual final thing. And my friend Matty, hello Matty Elliott, another former Marine that's a really good videographer. He made a documentary about Mark Ormrod, who's I think Britain's first triple amputee from the Afghanistan conflict. And when he burned that video, that documentary, he said, "Mark, check it with a tooth comb, because when it's done, he said it took 36 hours to code to transcode the video." Right. And I think that, I'm not even sure if that was 4K. I'm guessing it must have been, but do you have a similar?
Yeah, data storage is tough. It's one of the toughest parts of our jobs, is making sure that the data is secure. Our clients pay a lot of money for this data, so we've got to make sure it's secure. So on location, the data starts quite small, to be honest. You're in the terabytes, probably from a location like Peru that we did scanning in water. It's probably about 4 terabytes of data captured across 4 or 5 days. So not too large at that stage. But once we get it back to the office, once we start processing it, it becomes very large, 10, 20 terabytes. And so we have servers for that, rack-mounted servers, and we also upload to Google Drive, because we have an unlimited Google Drive account, which is very nice. So we've got about 200 terabytes on Google Drive just from this year at the moment. So
use Google.
Crazy. Yeah. Yeah, who knows whether they're just going to turn it off one day, but we've got cold storage and online storage.
And with respect to the film companies, so we're talking people like Marvel, aren't we? And big names. What's your future with these giants?
Yeah, so the future that we sort of see at the moment is digitizing more locations to bring the locations to the actors, to the studios, rather than actors and cast and crew going to locations at all. We will digitize 10, 20 locations, create a virtual scene for them, which they can then shoot their films before even thinking, before even choosing which actors they want to use. They'll be able to shoot the entire movie just like a video game, in these virtual worlds, create the entire movie just virtually. And then once they've got that, they can use that as a blueprint to then film their actors, their cast, their crew on sound stages with LED walls with virtual backgrounds. I don't know if you've seen any of those used in like The Mandalorian, for example. So they'll be those backgrounds will be populated from the assets, from the environments we've captured, and then they'll be able to shoot the storyboard they've made virtually but for real on those backgrounds, all without, leaving Pinewood Studios in London.
It's not going to be long, is it, before actors are just redundant? You don't need them anymore.
I think actors are they have a job for a long time, and then we do digital doubles as well. So part of what we do is not just go into locations to scan locations. We also capture and create virtual people, virtual copies of people. So yesterday, for example, we had a load of military guys actually in our office, all dressed in the proper gear, being scanned to create virtual characters. And so they could be animated, they could be they can do things which you can't do to real people, run them over and stuff. I don't know what they're doing in this scene, but capturing and creating virtual people so then they can act and do things with visual effects essentially. That's part of what we do, and but to create those people, we do it slightly differently. Actually, my background at the moment is our cyber rig. So this is an array of 100 lights and 100 cameras, or that all fire in sequence and then at different timing to capture a person from all angles and in many different lighting conditions. And from that data, you're then able to create that virtual character, that virtual person. And here's another background. So that's sort of the full rig. I don't know if you can see that.
Wow.
There you go. There it is. So this is something that we developed during lockdown, and it's very busy at the moment, which is great. It's a bit of a more close up. And this is a color chart and mirror ball in the middle, which is used as lighting reference to match the colors from the real people, from the photography to the virtual world.
Yeah. So most people are like trying to make some contraption to feed the squirrels during lockdown, and you've created this virtual world.
Yeah, we were pretty busy, which was great. It was fantastic for us. Not having work for 6 months, it was really, really good for us. The money side of things wasn't good, of course. It wasn't for anybody. But development is something that we never get to do ever. We're always, if we do development, we're doing it on a project for a project. And it was great to have sort of like the hindsight time, being able to think about where things are going, what we need, and then make it. And so we developed this rig, and we also developed an app for scouting locations virtually. So which is essentially an iPad app or an iPhone app, which we can load our locations in a 3D environment, and you can drop in actors, virtual characters, virtual cameras, and then start filming the movie, but just sitting on your sofa.
And Joe, let's just talk about what have you faced any kind of anti stuff, any negative? As people criticize you? I'm not fishing here. I'm just genuinely interested because I guess there's kind of implications. I mean, one thing I'm always saying to young people is get out there and live your life. Please don't live it on an Xbox or something, because you're going to get to 60 and you're going to hate yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's only happened a couple of times. The first time was here in Ciudad Perdida. This is in Colombia. We were scanning this location, which is pretty famous location, tourist destination. You can only get here by hiking through the jungle for 4 days on a like a popular route which has stops. But we helicoptered in 15 minutes, obviously, and so we landed on that terrace just behind my head here, and then we're scanning this site with our drones and with LiDAR. Probably have a photo of that as well. Here we go. So there's the LiDAR scanner on the left there. So that's the LiDAR device, and that's Duncan Lee's in his lovely pink shirt. We were scanning this location, and the tourists came up to me. Obviously, I was using drones, and complained about us spoiling the magic of the site, because obviously you're trying to enjoy a spiritual place and you've got this noisy drone that's about 90 decibels or 80 decibels, something like that, like flying around all day. It's annoying, you know. And so you know, I just had to explain to them, you know, we're paid to be here by National Geographic to preserve this site, you know, and tourists on daily, you know, they ruin this site. They drop litter, they, you know, feed the dogs which don't have, you know, can't hunt for themselves because you know, they're being fed all day, and they, you know, stomp all over it, ruining the site. You know, it needs to be preserved, and at the moment this is the best way to do it. So
I love to see you just turn that back and lay into them.
No, yeah.
You're the problem.
Yeah, you know, yeah. Sometimes, you know, something, you know, gets you, and that really got to me. But yeah, other times it's only really when we're flying drones that we get any issues. Obviously, drones are annoying. They're a nuisance, but they are incredible tools that we can use to our advantage to film things, you know, that you can't film in any other way. This drone on the right hand side, for example, that I don't know if it's on the right or left on this mirror image, but that's the Inspire 2 that shoots 6K raw images and video, and every 15 minutes is 500 gigs of footage on that camera. But that's the smallest, highest quality drone you can buy. It's fantastic. We've been using that drone since it came out in 2017, and we're still using the same one. They're fantastic. They're amazing. I've flown that thing in 60-mile-per-hour winds. Don't tell the CAA. I've flown it in rain. I've flown it, like, you know, any condition. You know, not when I'm around people. I would never do that, like in a city. But off the north coast of Ireland, you know, where it's always windy, it's always raining. You have to sometimes just get it in the air and get the shot. And yeah, we were filming with this drone for Artemis Fowl. We're filming wave shots, and you know, it's almost impossible to keep the drone in the air. 60 miles per hour, gusting winds. And this thing just cuts through, you know, it like butter. It's amazing. But yeah, they're a pest, you know. No one wants one of those outside their window. If there was one outside my window right now, I would go out there and shout at them as well.
Well, we're probably all going to have our shopping delivered by drone in the not too. I mean, Amazon have already experimented with it, haven't they?
Yeah, it's coming. We're all going to be flying around in drone-like vehicles in the next 10, 15, 20 years, something like that. They are, weirdly, they're safer than helicopters. They will be safer than helicopters. They have fewer moving parts than a helicopter. Helicopters have thousands of moving parts, and they have redundancy, like sometimes, you know, double, triple, quadruple redundancy. You don't get that on helicopters or anything. So.
What do you mean? If something can break on it, it doesn't matter because it can keep flying?
Yeah, absolutely. So if one of the batteries fail, it has, you know, 20 other batteries, these new vehicles. If one of the motors fail, they have 20, you know, 8 to 20 other motors, you know. This one in the background, it only has 4 props. So if one of those props go, it will come down, but it's got 2 batteries. And so it can fly on 1 battery. And the other drone we use, which is this drone in the background, this is a 6 props and 6 battery drone. We've got 5 cameras attached to that drone for mapping that location in the background. But yeah, if we lose one of the batteries on this drone, it will still fly. I've actually lost a battery on this drone. It caught fire whilst it was midair. I'm not sure what happened to it. Maybe it was punctured during transport or something. But yeah, it was 2 kilometers away, and with the battery on fire, I managed to fly it back, land it, take the battery out. The drone was fine. It's pretty fantastic, amazing. And if one of the props go on this drone, it will still fly. Here it is. Wow. This is in Peru. That's it flying at 4,000 meters altitude. Well, 4,200 at the top there. We just hiked up there, which was very difficult, obviously, with the lack of air. I was really not sort of like used to, you know, the lack of oxygen in that location. So it took a few days, but the drone was absolutely fine at 4,000 meters altitude. Just off to the right, I'll see if I've got another photo. Yeah, this one it's you can't really see in this one, but that's a 1,000-meter drop just there. So flying it off the edge of this site here was pretty scary. But
incredible.
Yeah.
Joe, I've got to ask you, seeing as though you've been the man down there on the money, what I've seen obviously a lot of the ruins in South America, and these huge blocks of stone that some of them are 100 tons.
Yeah.
And yet they're all fitted together, just ridiculous. Something's not right about it. They're just so.
We don't know how it's done. It's impossible. Nobody knows how it's done. The archaeologists that you meet have no idea how it's done. You know, for example, in Colombia, they practice cutting the stones, and they try and copy the stones, the terracing, which are like a little bit more simple than they are in Peru, in the Inca towns. But it's impossible. Nobody knows how they're cut. And if somebody does say they know, then they're lying. You know, that level of precision we couldn't do today. It's impossible. Who knows? They definitely had technology we don't today.
Yes.
I don't know how that works. But
friends at home, come on, those that know, in the comment section. There's definitely will be a comment about alien life. I can guarantee that.
The locals in Micronesia, I think, all believe it was the spirits and that built Namadol. That's what they believe. This is water in Peru, and you can slightly see in the background some terracing here, just on the edge of this building. You can slightly see some terracing. This site is believed to be pre-Inca, so this is before the Mayans. This is where it's believed that they were practicing, the sort of how to build Machu Picchu. So and so we scanned this site trying to find evidence of that it was pre-Incan, and we found some systems and some shapes which sort of indicated that it was pre-Incas that built this site.
So Machu Picchu was Mayan, right?
I believe it was the Incas.
Incas, but don't they say that they think that the Incas just built on top of the original?
Yeah, that is what is believed, and it's believed that the people who built this built Machu Picchu. This is where they started, to test it, and this is on the Inca Trail.
Yeah.
But not many people get to go to this site. It's you can go there by foot. It's just sort of 3 hours away from Cusco, and then you have to climb up just a simple path. We got all of our equipment up there just by a donkey. I've got a photo of that. So there you go. So these are the donkeys. So you can see the big box there that has our large drone in it, and it was about 15 to 20 peli cases of stuff, batteries, generators, computers, tripods, cameras, that sort of thing. And you can't see it in this photo because it's cropped, but just up the top there is the site. It's right at the top.
Wow, look how high it is.
That's where we were heading, just with donkeys. And the donkeys got up there super quick, to be honest, but me and my colleague Duncan Lee, it's not so quick.
That donkey thought he was going to fly up. When you put a drone on his back, he thought he was going to get a free trip. Didn't work out that way. Yeah, but not in this location, but whilst in Peru, we lost the only drone that we've ever lost before, due to what the locals would say were the spirits of the site. Because we didn't offer the volcano an offering before flying there, they took the drone down. And I don't really believe in spirits and stuff like that, but the drone did something I'd never seen it do before. It started flying backwards and away from me, and also the control connection disconnected. Sometimes you expect the control connection to disconnect, but when that happens, the drone knows to just come back and land.
it's got a pre-programmed home point. But that didn't happen. So two things happened at exactly the same time, which I couldn't really explain, because it was quite close to me as well, the drone, and it's like flying backwards and spinning around, and then flew basically. And I would say committed suicide by flying straight into the side of the volcano, and so that is the only drone I've ever lost. And and there was no reason for it. The locals said, obviously, they said that we needed to give an offering to the mountain. And afterwards, I asked what offering did we need to give, and they said, some gold, or maybe an animal fetus, which obviously I didn't have either of those things in my pocket. So, yeah,
not the sort of thing the Lonely Planet warns you about, is it?
No, absolutely.
But that film Terminator warned you about this, the Revenge of the Machines. It's all starting to go wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. It's possible the way things are going. I think that things will, technology will advance more than we will.
Joe, just to finish off, been a fascinating chat, mate. I've thoroughly enjoyed this. Thank you ever so much. Just want to say, for young people watching this who are interested in this area, what did you study? Did you go through uni?
Yeah. So I went through university. I went through Ravensbourne College in Greenwich. I started, not really knowing what I wanted to do at all. I was good at art. I was good at 3D stuff, and started an animation degree where I instead of doing 3D animation, I focused on visual effects. And I went on to do a master's in 3D stereoscopic, which led me to start researching photogrammetry. So 3D scanning, basically. So I was doing 3D scanning before the good software existed to do it and all of that. And like back in 2009, 2010 was sort of learning this stuff. And it was only on my master's that I, started to get into the industry. It's a really tough industry to get into, our industry. It's unfortunately, it can be not what you know, who you know. But everyone in our industry is really highly skilled, obviously, and you have to learn on the job almost, because there's no way you can learn what we do outside of work. But to get into, I'd say these days that you don't actually need to go to university, which is probably bad sort of advice. But everything I learn is self-taught from YouTube, from the internet. Anything I need to know, I just Google and learn it. Part of what we do in our business is we have to figure things out that other people can't figure out, and the only way we do it is by Googling like a lot. There's the most amazing tool for everyone to use, and that's what everyone should use it. But if people are looking for a job, please contact us as well. We're looking for photography assistants, for 3D artists, for people who just want to get involved with LiDAR and stuff. We're short of staff at the moment, so if people are looking for work, contact me.
If you need anyone to lead your donkeys, just hey, I'm your man. Your man.
Perfect.
Joe, absolutely fascinating. I hope you'll come back in the future and update us on how all your projects are going.
Will do.
Especially if you get, it all looks exciting, but if you get anything particularly left field, come and let us know.
Okay, we'll do. Nice one, Chris. Nice to talk to you.
I'll put your links below. So if anyone needs, your LinkedIn or whatever, so if anyone needs your services, I think you're probably going to get hit up by MI6 now, and
that'd be great. We'd love to work with them.
The Pentagon. Joe, just stay on the line so I can thank you properly. I'm going to play us out because I've got us up in the studio. So just bear with us, but massive thank you again to everybody at home. Much love to you all. Please look after yourselves. If you could like and subscribe, if you can share the video, that would be fantastic. Thank you.